Ladies and gentlemen, Savannah Hamilton is going to talk about shaking society's expectations. Get rid of that nonsense and rediscover you. Oh my gosh, we're going to dive in deep. Before we get to that conversation, let's talk about the sponsor message. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a high achiever, if you are a messenger, a visionary, someone who's here to make a massive impact in the world, and you really want to dial in your purpose, you want to dial in who you are, what you stand for, you want to ignite your presence, you want to just be here and now in the moment. You want to start and grow and launch your platform. You want to get your message out to the world. I love helping people do that. If you're interested in that, you want to step up to that plate, you want to find out more about the different services that Burn Up Coaching and Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self we help people with, I'm happy to share that with you. Send me a message, chris@beyourgps.com, or find me on Facebook and I can tell you more about it. Next up is going to be the iTunes review of the week. And this week it's by, I believe it's Becca Joyce. I believe that is the name. Becca Joyce says, "This podcast is fire." Chris Burns, the host, always brings the energy, enthusiasm, and excitement. His passion for life and becoming your greatest possible self is contagious. He also brings on amazing guests from all different industries, so you will always learn something new and different each episode. Highly, highly recommend listening. Thank you so much, Becca. If you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store and let us know, what are you loving? What do you want to see more of? How can we grow even more with you together? Make 2019 and beyond our best year ever. Thanks so much in advance for doing that. I'm going to introduce Savannah in just a second here. Before that, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, be ready to take notes because you are going to get some gold in this interview. She is a brilliant woman here to inspire and uplift you to become your greatest possible self. Make sure you stay all the way through till the end because you never know what one idea can transform the rest of your life. So stay tuned. Let's introduce her and then we will bring her on the show, baby. Savannah Hamilton is a lifestyle creator. She's been pushing the boundaries of an ordinary life since she entered this world. She's on a mission to globally inspire women to live extraordinary lives, and she helps women who feel stuck, restless, and unfulfilled in their lives because they have designed a life that everyone else but them are proud of. Through her international retreats, Savannah helps women expand their consciousness. Stop playing small. Let go of limiting beliefs and step into their power to create a life of their wildest dreams, untamed and unapologetic. And we are blessed to have her here with us today. Savannah, are you ready to rock the house, superstar?
I am ready.
Woo, woo. Awesome. We're now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Savannah, thank you so much for being here and just who you are in the world, just sharing your message, inspiring people, bringing that wildness out of women. I love it. It's awesome. And I think it's definitely needed in the world today. So thank you for who you are. And we're going to dive into the theme of the day, which is who is your true self? And this goes right in line with your topic and what we're going to be discussing with you. But when you hear the question, who is your true self? What comes to mind for you?
For me, personally, it's been an absolute journey, and I am still discovering every day who I am. But I think as just not even just women specifically, but for me, what comes up is I always looked outside for who I was. That be, what my body image looked like, that who the friends I hung out with, the clothes I wore. I always looked on the outside. And I want to say like 10 years ago, really within the last 2 years, I really started looking within.
Yeah.
That's when I started coming in alignment with who I truly was, not fighting with society's expectations of who I should be, but really in alignment with who I am.
Wow, I love that. That true self. I think I went through that same thing. Is always looking outside of myself. Even when I got started in personal development, I was like, oh, I need to go to the next seminar. I need to read the next book. The answer, the coach is somewhere outside. The miracle, the secret. and it was always within me. So you totally get it, Savannah. That's so awesome, and I love how you're just sharing that it's within. When we look within, when we quiet ourselves and go within, that's when we really discover those answers. So tell us a little bit more about what your clients come to you for and what you're standing for women with this lifestyle, being a lifestyle creator and unleashing their wildness within. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I help women, obviously. Um, a lot of women who, so for me personally,
Mhm.
I am a very masculine, driven, goal oriented, focused, like
Yeah.
hustle,
Yep.
grind. That's me, that's my life. And my backstory is I am actually a nurse practitioner.
Hmm.
I graduated high school early. I went to college, was graduated with my RN by the time I was 20,
Wow.
and always kind of this like patriarchal society, hustle bustle. Don't listen to yourself. Don't put anybody else before you.
Mm.
Everybody else's needs, people pleasing, and always lived within this state of like anxiety and kind of
Mm.
restlessness.
Yeah.
But I learned to live with that. And that's what a lot of my clients are coming to me for as well. So you've created this life that is quote unquote successful. You know,
Wow.
I am 30 years old, I'm making six figures, I'm a nurse practitioner, I live in California, I'm traveling,
Mhm.
but yet I'm like not happy.
Mm.
And that's what a lot of women are coming to me with because we do the do, you know,
Yep.
we don't question it. We
Mm.
graduate high school, we go to college, we get married, we buy the house, the whole like keeping up with the Joneses, this
Mm.
timeline or blueprint that society sets up for us, and we never question
Mm.
it. And we never question like, why do I have this anxiety? Why am I depressed? Why? Because we never turn within.
Wow. That's so powerful. So it's like you were just on this track to keep doing and keep achieving and like you didn't even know why, but you're like, well, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna do my best, and you kicked butt at it. And then at some point you started recognizing why. Wait, is this it? Is this everything? Is this why I put in all that time, those years at school to get this? Is this what the dream was?
Like this can't be it. Yeah, and I actually, so what kind of was the pivotal moment for me is I always loved nursing,
Mm.
but I worked 3 days a week. I had a very flexible schedule, so I
Yeah,
lived this like great lifestyle.
yeah, yeah.
I knew I wasn't passionate about it. I was passionate about traveling. I was passionate
Mm,
about motivating people, inspiring people,
mm,
and it wasn't until I actually got fired from a
mm,
job about 2.5 years ago, my quote unquote like dream job. I was
mhm.
in this university hospital. I was working in a critical care ICU, and I fucking hated the job. Absolutely. I got sick the night before. I wasn't me. I was like
Wow.
constricted and contracted. And I was like, oh, you know what? I just got to get the orientation. Like it was a 12-hour shift and a 24-hour shift. So I only had to work 2 days a week. And I was like, I can get through this. But they fired me because they were like, we don't think you're the right fit. And they're absolutely right. Like I couldn't have walked away thanking them more.
Wow.
But that's when I really was like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't
Mm.
know if I'm allowed to cuss
Yes, you're
here.
allowed
Okay.
to.
What the fuck are you doing, Savannah? Like, why are you fighting so hard to have this life that isn't in alignment with you?
Mm,
So I really started to dive deep about a year and a half ago. Like, what lights me up? Turning within. Like, what do I want? What is Savannah like? Who is Savannah?
mm.
I didn't even know who I was outside of being a nurse practitioner.
Wow.
And here I am.
I love it. It's so powerful. I want to go back more into your journey and just talk about like what were the signs where you started noticing that, like you weren't quite in alignment with listening to yourself and listening to your true self and being your true self. Like what were some of the signs along the way?
So many. So many that I didn't listen to. So, I've always, as hence the name Wild Savannah, I've
Mhm.
always been, I mean, my parents will tell you I was like a hellacious child. Grew up in a small town, very rural, and nothing wrong with that. But I always had this deep resignation within me that there was like
Mm,
more. There's
Yeah.
more to life. There's more. Like I was deemed for greatness, and I always knew that. So I was seeking these like different adventures. So my outlet was like traveling. Like I love traveling. It like lit me up. It inspired me, and uh, I just I never really knew what that was, like what that wild was. I mean, all throughout, I couldn't even tell you multiple instances, but I would say, like in high school, it was just trying to hang out with the wrong friends, trying to hang out with like the it crowd, and feeling small and feeling like question that constant mean girl, the constant like inner critic we have in our head that kind of is like, oh, do they like you? Did I wear the perfect outfit? I mean, that's still, I still have that sometimes today. I actually just went out this weekend with friends I haven't hung out in a long time, and that came back up. So it's not these things I'm aware of, but they're still always going to come back up. We're always going to have challenges that are triggers and shadow sides that are going to come back up. But I think in college, in high school, college, definitely just trying to fit in with the wrong crowd, and also just trying to be like quote unquote society's perfect. So like being a size 2, having perfect skin, being fit. I mean, I was so caught up in this idea of being perfect that it's like, I just realized that my microphone isn't even plugged in.
It's been working.
I was like, plug this in real quick.
Can you guys hear me a little better?
Yes, perfect.
Oh my God. I am so sorry. But just trying to be perfect and not mess up my interview, but trying to be perfect, fitting into this perfect society's expectations, which only led me to be anxiety ridden, to be stressed, led me to depression. I struggled a lot in my 20s with a lot of settling for relationships that I knew weren't aligned with me. But I didn't. I also struggled with a lot of people pleasing and not wanting to hurt, which I think a lot of women do. We put other people before our needs, and we're so used to taking care of everybody else except for ourselves. That was me. And I grew up in a family whom my mom was a caretaker and my dad, just a very traditional family, but my dad was in the service. He was a firefighter, a police officer, and then my mom being a caretaker, we just always gave and never asked for anything in return. And that being modeled to me as a child, I continued to repeat those cycles as an adult, as we often do. So settling for relationships that I knew were in alignment with me and only because I was afraid to hurt the other person. Oftentimes, multiple times. And there's so many things. Being inside my head, these limiting beliefs, not feeling worthy. That's been a really big one this past year. Is not, and I think it's always kind of, like I said, been in the back playing, but being really crystal clear on this is a problem, this is a challenge, this is what you're working on, is not feeling that I was worthy of, one, the lifestyle that I wanted. So that's why I stayed in my nursing career, because I didn't think I was worthy of having this lifestyle that I could create, that I could take women on retreats and make money off that. I didn't feel like I was worthy of having relationships with men who were faithful, who like were on my level. I think frequently I picked men that just weren't in alignment with me. And it was because like I didn't value myself. So time and again, and they just kept replaying in my life. And when I was 30, someone handed me the best book that I will recommend to everybody and all your viewers, is a book, The Collection by Louise Hay. I think I have it right here. She is like the godmother of the self-help movement. And like I said, with women, a lot of us struggle with putting others before us. and people pleasing. And she started the movement of self-love and putting yourself first and filling, I'm sure a lot of your viewers have heard of like filling your love cup up before you fill anybody else's up. When I was 30, I got this for my birthday, and that's when I really started to dive deep. And now that's become the foundation, like loving myself first, putting me first of all that I do in life.
That's amazing. Wow. So I love that, because I think all the things that you shared about those moments where you could tell that something was not quite right, you could feel it, but you didn't know how to act on it. You didn't know that there was a better way. You didn't have the wisdom, but over time you started getting more wisdom, started listening to yourself more. You started getting these sources of inspiration, like Louise Hay and personal development, that gives you access to a better way. There's a better way. Like I can love myself and be happy and have fun and be popular. Like it all works together when I just be me, when I just like trust myself. And popularity, what does that even matter anyways? That's like a byproduct of loving myself. So it's so funny how we put our priorities in these different orders, and it costs us. It's usually pretty painful, lots of suffering, but over time we eventually figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was something that when I was learning all of this and becoming aware, I held a lot of shame for my past decisions, and a lot of self-shame or just anger and resentment towards my parents. Like I said, I grew up in a small town, and this stuff isn't taught to you. Like self-love isn't taught to you. If in my family, if we put anything before ourselves, or if we put ourselves before another person, that was seen as like egocentrical or selfish. And you didn't do that. Like you helped others before you helped yourself always. So a lot of us just are never even exposed, just like you're saying, like, you don't know. I didn't know there wasn't any other way. And I just want to point that out for anybody that's maybe in kind of the beginning stages, or just in the beginning stages of like their self-love journey, is you have to hold space and grace for yourself. Because I suffered from perfectionism, which stems from insecurities. And in the beginning, I was like, why am I get there? Like, you should love yourself first. Why are you still getting a shitty relationship? Like, you should put yourself first. Why are you picking up 7 more extra shifts a month? Like, what are you doing? So hold space and grace for yourself because it's all a journey. And I think this also goes back to having this patriarchal system where it's like a goal and we're going to achieve it, and that's the ends of all means. Like that's not life. Like your last speaker was talking about the Power of Now by Eckhart. I mess up his name every time, but Eckhart Tolle, I believe. Yes. I'm actually reading that right now, and it's so true. Like if we take our minds out of the future and out of the past, which is where like shame, anger, resentment in the past, future is worry, anxiety, stress. Just be present now, and you have everything you need.
I love it. I love it, man. That is so awesome. And it's like really when we're here in the moment, that's life. That's living life. And to be in the past, there's so much that we could have done differently, but we didn't. So why are we going to keep feeling like, oh, I wish I could have done something different. I would make a different decision. It's good to have the wisdom. It's good to have the experience, and to be able to put that in the past and leave it there and say, you know what, it is what it is. All I have is this present moment. So I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to be here now. I'm going to be with the people that I'm with now. I'm going to enjoy the plants and the animals and the beautiful weather, or my beautiful home, or whatever, whatever our current situation is. There's always room for appreciation and gratitude. So I think that's super important. In terms of how you're helping your clients, I know you're doing retreats. I want to talk a little bit more about how you mixed in this aspect of adventure and travel and like transformation and changing these women's lives. Like, how did you get to this point?
Let me tell you. So as I mentioned, I've always kind of been this wild child, and when I was growing up in this tiny, I mean, when I say tiny town, I grew up in a town of 3,000 people. I graduated
Wow.
with 98 people.
Oh my God.
Tiny. And
Yeah.
like Savannah is a unique name. I was like, that's Savannah. So I always did that. Like, I was like, oh, I want to travel. I want this. I want to be able to do all this. But I didn't. A limiting belief, right?
Yep.
I didn't. And not feeling worthy. I didn't think I was worthy of that. I didn't believe that it was possible because my parents still to this day don't even have their passport. So I didn't know. I had a limiting belief, not feeling that I was worthy of it. And once so when I turned 24, I did in Ohio, graduated college, got my nursing degree, bought a house at 21.
Wow.
And then I was like, this is not what I fucking want at all. Like, what the hell am I doing? So I've had multiple moments, and I'm sure that I'm going to continue to have more as I grow and expand and step out of my comfort zone. But I sold all my belongings, got my little dog, and moved to California. And California people are limitless out here, and getting into that environment, surrounding myself with the right people. These people were traveling, and from there, I've been to in the past 7 years, I've been to 30 different countries.
Wow.
And like my list keeps on growing. I just held, as you were talking about, my first women's retreat in Costa Rica. And that was so fulfilling. It was more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. But the premise behind that was when I got fired, I was just sitting like, I know this is what I'm passionate about, right? How can I combine what I'm passionate about and what I do to make a living? Because that's what we all strive after. Like, I want to infuse what I'm passionate about and make money off of it. How do I do that? And so we can talk a little bit about this, about being afraid of failure. So I was like, well, I'll just make a travel blog. And that failed because one, it wasn't a business plan. I didn't enjoy writing like travel guides, and there wasn't any means to get money off of that at all. So I failed. But I learned from that. I learned all the back end of setting up a website, of doing all of that, and that I didn't want to be a travel blogger. Then I got out of my own fucking way and was like, you know what? Like, I want to fucking host retreats. Like, that's what I want to do.
Yes.
Like, that is what I want to do, and I'm going to make it fucking happen. So I was in Costa Rica when I decided this, and that's exactly where a year ago in February, I was like, I'm having a retreat. This is what's happening. And why I'm so passionate about traveling is because I think it often, and this goes for men and women, that when we're in our day-to-day lives, we get so caught up in the mundane, where we go to work, we get in these habits. We wake up, we go to work, we come home, we take care of the kids, we veg out, we watch TV, we do all these numbing activities, and maybe scattered or sprinkled in there, we're like doing a few things for ourselves. But then the phone rings, the email, the kids.
Distraction.
Yes. So I've been so blessed to be able to travel. And when I travel, it's like a reset.
Yeah.
And opening the eyes of the privilege that we have from living in America. I often travel to third world countries. That's just my jam. I don't ever travel I've never do luxury spots. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I want to be in the experience. I want to be have a whole embodied experience and live how these people live. And it's when I come back, I feel a renewed sense of purpose. I feel grateful for everything that I have. I feel I can speak to anybody. I backpacked around the globe for 2 months by myself. And when I came home, it was so empowering. Like, I could do this. And that cultivated the 7 years and going to all these different countries and doing it all myself. I wanted to infuse that into the women that I surround myself with.
I love this, Savannah. I'm curious. Did your desire to be at that ground level, kind of seeing what these third world countries are dealing with, did that come from like feeling like you didn't understand it at first, like disconnected, or, for me, we relate in that we're both Caucasian, right? White.
Mhm.
And, I said, well, I don't want to be like every other stereotype for white people. I want to be culturally aware. I want to be connected. I want to be like, I don't want to be the standard person. I want to get people at a different level. So I, relate to them differently and have communications. I, started practicing Spanish, and I do my best to keep it up. So like I can see things from a different perspective. I'm curious if you had anything like that happen for you.
So, I don't know that it was necessarily coming from a spot of like, I just want to understand them more. It was just, it came from within my heart. Like, I never feel, when I said like I wanted, when I was younger, to fit into the popular, it's funny because I was friends with the popular kids, but I was also friends with the unpopular kids. I never really fit in anywhere, even though I struggled to fit in everywhere.
Right.
So I always just had a deep connection for everybody. And there were never any like race, color, that never mattered to me. It never was a thing. There was no prejudice in our home growing up. And so I think when traveling, like, it was just a natural desire to like I'm like a sponge. Like, I want to be like those people. I want to experience life like them. I don't want to, I mean, a lot of people, I think it's funny when they say they've traveled and they go to Mexico to an all-inclusive resort. Like, that's not traveling. And for how I said, like, what brought me like the passion and the empowerment, like, I didn't find that at an all-inclusive resort.
Yeah. That's powerful. And I think it's the difference when I can be in a, let's say, third world country, and I can experience the difference of what I have back home. The contrast, that's the word I was looking for. The contrast between what I have and what these people have, it just like humbles me so much, makes me so grateful, so appreciative, because these people are smiling and happy and dancing and so full of joy, and some people back home are like complaining, making tens of thousands of dollars a month or whatever it might be, and they have like the life, but they're just not able to see it and recognize it and be grateful for it. So it's a great wake-up call in that aspect.
Absolutely. When actually, it brings like tears to my eyes. When I was traveling in the Philippines, our car got a flat tire, and there were these little kids on the side of the road. And I'm like 5'8", I'm blonde, in Cebu, where these people are max like 5'1", all dark hair. So these kids are very curious about me, and I know a lot of times when people travel, they would bring candy to the kids, which I didn't want to do that. And I was like, oh, what do I have for these kids? I didn't have anything. I just had these like colorful hair ties, like a whole bag of them I bought from Amazon because I was stocking up. And I gave this bag of colored hair ties to these kids. And you would have thought that I gave them like Christmas. Their eyes lit up. They were so happy with these innocent, like these that cost nothing, cost 5 cents. And here we have children with their iPads, and they're so ungrateful and not well behaved. Like, these kids had nothing. They didn't have shoes on their feet, and they were so grateful. And it's just, it, like you said, it humbles you.
It's amazing. I love it. Okay, so when did you discover that you knew you were meant to serve women and help women?
I think so. I've always been a really good person at traveling, getting groups together, of being the one that kind of organized everything. So I think even before knowing it, I was already like a leader of organizing groups, getting people together. I've always kind of been very high energy, and kind of people naturally gravitate towards me, but they're always like, Savannah, what are you doing? Like, I'm always the leader of, like, when I was in college, like, this is the bar we're going out to. We'd board at this bar. They'd be like, okay, Sav, where are we going next? Like, I'm like, okay. So naturally, I think I've always done that. I would say specifically wanting to be of service to women has probably been within the past year. past year and a half, as I've developed my business and become more in alignment with what my purpose and my passion and what it is to be of service. But I think obviously I am a woman myself, so it just feels much more. I'm a girl for anybody now questioning. I'm a female, but I feel I can speak so much more powerfully about anything that they're going through.
Yeah, so it's like you did the travel blogging and you learned a lot from it, and then you're like, how can I, combine the retreats and what I know, what I've gone through, and like the coaching model in general, and retreats and events, and it's just like the timing is so perfect, for
Oh my gosh, yeah.
anyone who wants to serve people in a big way. It's just really share about your experiences. What did you go through? How did you have the breakthroughs? What were the things that made the difference for you? And I think a lot of people are suffering out there alone, and simply having a community or someone to talk to be able to get through these things makes the world of difference.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't know if I can do a little plug here. I just developed my
Go for it. Yeah.
So I share this because I am so excited. And so Chris and I met through this online business program, and one of our assignments was to create an online Facebook group. And I will tell you, at first I had resistance about that because I was like, oh, I like join Facebook groups and I never do anything with them. And I don't really, that's not me. That's not aligned with Wild Staff. And I did this, and I have over 300 people in this community. And it's so amazing. And I want to tune back into what you were saying is how once we start to learn who we are, when we look within, when we share our message, and we share, not like, this is different from complaining and woe is me, but we share our stories from a sense of power and our struggles. So we communicate, or so we connect, because that's every human being, man, woman, child, grandpa, grandma. One of our basic needs is to have connection. And through our story is where we find this connection, where we find power. So often we like you were saying, we think that we're alone in this journey. And so many people, and this is what we found really profound at the retreat, is we all have different stories, but we had the same similar feelings.
Yes. Yeah, we all have that same set of emotions that we deal with: shame, guilt, regret, and to be able to heal through those, it's a big process, is just being able to share it and not pretend like it didn't exist, not try to stuff it down and ignore it.
Yeah. So that's why I have a Facebook group called Untamed and Unapologetic, Women Who Want More Out of Life. We are a strong group of 300 women. And I would love, obviously, for any of your viewers to come join us, search us on Facebook. And I share that because myself, thinking that I'm developing my business alone. And there's women out there that are looking for a connection. Like we're all, and I think women, especially because we grow up in a society where society kind of pins us against one another in comparison, not overtly, but just unfortunately, that's how we're conditioned. So we're in opposition of women instead of coming together. And it's just been magnificent as I've started to develop. So please come on over. Join
Definitely. Get your butt over there to, what is it? Unapologetic? What was it?
Untamed, unapologetic, women who want more out of life. We will light your life up.
Yes, I love it. So that desire for more, tell us more about that. Why is that an important part of your philosophy, and reminding women that they deserve that more?
Yeah. I think, as I explained, I've always had this kind of fire burning within me, and not knowing what that was, and feeling like stuck, feeling restless, or feeling restless. And feeling anxious, depressed. Those are a lot of things that I dealt with. So like your story is my story. I have dealt with it, and I understand. And feeling like that growing up and in my 20s, and not knowing what to do, like feeling that you want more, but not knowing what, and either that being because of limiting beliefs, because you don't feel you're worthy, because you don't have a means, just like we said, like you don't know what you don't know. So that's why I once again developed the Facebook community, because I want women to know that it's okay to want more. You're allowed to, and not feel shameful for that. And I want to give them the resources and the means to step into that next level, whatever that looks like for them. And then not feel bad. Like, put yourself first and not feel fucking bad about it, because that's how we always do as women.
Yeah. I saw a affirmation the other week. It like really resonated with me. It said, "It's okay to have everything I want." Right?
Yes.
Like, how awesome is that? Like, everything you want, it's okay. It's great that you want it and you deserve to have it. Like, that is so empowering and fulfilling, knowing that that's the reality that we get to create.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to, I believe your last speaker touched on this as well, is that you first have to start believing that. So many of us, it's not that we can't, but we don't even believe it's possible because of, like I said, limited beliefs or these self-sabotaging behaviors, not feeling you're worthy. Like, we don't even believe it. And all you have to do is start loving yourself. Start believing that, and the universe is going to supply you with all that abundance, with all that high vibe energy that you need to start leveling the fuck up.
Yes. It's like, first you gotta ignite the desire. You gotta feed it, and then the universe is gonna deliver exactly what you need to expand your capacity to be able to receive that which we desire.
Yeah. And many of us feel that, that's what I'm talking about. This like anxiety, this restlessness, and becoming, this is a big part of for me, because I have been in the healthcare field and I see so many people coming in with these chronic diseases. And I don't believe in that shit. Like, I don't believe in it. I'm going to be honest. Like, I think that now let me preface this. I think that there's a time and a place for medicine, for Western medicine. I think there's a time and a place for antidepressants or anxiety medications. I was on Zoloft as a child myself, but it was just masking me not being in alignment. It was masking me being anxious because I wanted to fit in with the popular girls. Like, in working in the healthcare, and this is, I think, back to your last question, I might have got a little sidetracked, but why I'm so passionate about it is because I still work in the healthcare field. I see people day in and day out come in on 50,000 medications, not knowing what they are. All these medications are Band-Aids to what the real underlying problem is. And that's why I have a podcast as well, if you guys want to listen, but that's where the name came, Wild Within, because you can look within and heal yourself.
Yeah, I love it. What had you start the podcast?
Oh, well, I finally got out of my own fucking way. So I had been wanting to start a podcast just to kind of get my message out there. I had, growing up in a small town, like I said, limited resources, not even being aware that it's okay to step into your power, to want more, to not just be this stay-at-home mom, like as I was modeled as a child. That wasn't available to me. So I actually lived in Iowa for a year, and like even more remote than Ohio. And I listened to podcasts. Like, I just started reading. I listened to podcasts, and I knew that I have such a strong community because I've lived in California, Iowa, Chicago, all over. And I wanted to spread the message. I wanted to be able to spread what I was learning and what I've applied in my life to help light other women up as well.
I love it. I love it. And the medium of podcasting, I love it so much. It's just so accessible, anyone who's looking and who wants to be inspired. And especially with you, like, you have your own unique energy. You have the savvy sav energy, right? That like just is magnetic, and your energy might be different than Lewis Howes or Tom Bilyeu or whoever, right? Like, your energy is going to captivate and attract people differently than, let's say, mine or other people. So it's like remembering and recognizing that each and every one of us has a unique voice and a unique energy that someone out there is waiting to hear. And it's like just stepping up to the plate. I love how you said getting out of my own way. Totally ditto,
Oh my
it's
God,
like,
yeah,
just
3
get out of your
years.
own way.
I have little recordings on my computer I'm like, hi, this is Sav doing my own podcast from 3 years ago. And I was just like, oh, I don't like everything has to be perfect. I really
Oh
don't
my
know about
gosh.
it. Like waiting till the perfect time.
Mm-mm.
And I actually was asked to be on, so I'm pushing my comfort zone. I want to learn to enhance my public speaking skill.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, I joined Coach Masters.
Yes.
And I said, I'm a coach. I'm learning to speak more. They asked me to be on their podcast. I was like, oh, this is fucking easy. Like, but I can talk to somebody. Like,
Yeah.
I can have an intellectual conversation about things I'm passionate about.
Yes.
And I love it. I get to meet amazing people like you, and I get to share them with my people that I know. Like, it lights me up.
And it's like the true impact of people, like your impact is exponential. You know, it's incredible what we're able to do. And like we record our message and we have this conversation, and who knows how many people's lives it can impact. You know, it's like once it's out there in the internet, sometimes we don't even know, but we might hear in 6 months or a year or 3 years or 5 years, wow, you know, I listened to that podcast and it changed my life forever. And here's how my life is different now. And it's like knowing that we're planting those seeds is so freaking awesome.
Yes, yes. Like just to help one girl that's sitting, like I just envisioned some girl in a rural farm town, exactly where I grew up, feeling stuck, restless, like not having this, not wanting this like picture perfect life. And I want her to know it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, fuck society's expectations.
That's right. That's right. I love it. And then we had a question asking what's the name of the podcast and how to find it.
Yes. So you can find me on iTunes. It's Wild Within. And then also, I don't know, my website, you can listen to my podcast on there. It's just www.wild-savannah.com.
Beautiful. Love it. And we'll repeat that again at the end of the interview. But since we had the question, let's go ahead and give it to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so excited someone wants to listen. We're ready for you.
I love it. What have you learned about yourself in doing some of these interviews and launching your podcast?
So I have learned, where do I even begin with that? But I think, I was always good at kind of like getting to the edge of my comfort zone and pushing it. And I have a pretty
epic comfort zone. You had a bit of a freeze. Savannah, are you still there? Testing 1 2 3. Testing. It's 4 4 4. The alignment of the freeze of the pause. I love this. Oh my gosh. She's talking about her comfort zone. Her comfort zone is so big it like just knocked out her connection.
Let me just get you set up on my phone here. Real live, pushing the edge of my comfort zone. Okay, we're back in action. So what have I learned about myself? That I have always been really good at pushing the edge of my boundaries.
Yeah.
But like in my own comfort zone.
Yeah.
So with and like because I was in rural countries and I did a lot of self-learning. It wasn't until last year I actually went to a self-development conference with Rich Lipton to be a better coach.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. Like, I am not comfortable at all. Yeah. So by doing these podcast interviews and actually interacting with other people and putting myself in the presence of people that are leveling up, I'm good at like being comfortable with those around me because I'm usually like, I'm always the one. I mean, not saying anything bad about that. I love everybody hanging out, but I'm just always taking on a lot. Like that's me. They're like, oh my God, Savannah, you're working full time. You're starting this podcast. Like you're running your own business. You're traveling. You're hosting retreats. Like that's always been me.
Yep.
But when I have these podcast interviews, like sometimes I ain't got shit on anybody. I mean, you're doing a fucking 12-hour marathon. I'm like lucky to hold 1 hour podcast, So it's really given me the ability to level up.
Yeah.
And so anybody watching, if you're looking
for a way to expand like yourself, and you're reading these self-help books and you're listening to podcasts and I would always watch the YouTube videos and listen to motivational things in the morning. I was doing all the things, but I was in my own comfort zone, you know?
Yeah.
So I encourage anybody, go to meetups, go like find people that are doing what you want to do, get uncomfortable, because that's the only way you're going to grow.
It is. And I love how you said, like, you were stretching yourself, you were taking on a lot. And it was almost like you'd gotten to this point of, okay, I got this, like, it's a lot to other people, but I got this. Come on. It's like, let's keep doing it. And when you really take on something that's uncomfortable or scary, or, like, I like to think of it like I always wanted to be the smartest person in the room in the past, and like have all the answers and look good. And like, even though on the outside people are like, damn, Chris, you're flying against straight A's, you're doing all these things. And, like, deep inside, I knew I was capable of more. And so like I constantly had to stretch myself because I knew I was meant for more. I knew I had more capacity within me. So it's like, how do I challenge myself? How do I get outside of my comfort zone even more? How do I, take cold showers? How do I take on martial arts practice, or, learn a new language, or practice an instrument, whatever it might be, whatever is that comfort zone that we expand. It's super powerful.
Yeah. Oh, wait, are you learning Czech? Is that what I
I am. I'm definitely picking it up for my girlfriend.
Now you got your accountability partner.
Yes. She says, she's like talking about it all the time, talking in it, and she talks to her grandma every day. And I'm like, okay, wow, I have no idea what you're saying, but I'm doing my best to keep up.
That's good. Yeah, you have to stretch. You have to get uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's so important. So, Savannah, if there was like a final piece of wisdom you really want to give our audience, the final thing to take home and implement and put into action, what would that be? What do you really want our audience to get?
So how I've traveled so much is that, I'll just do a quick story, is that how I've traveled so much, people ask me, how the hell did you do over 30 countries in the last 7 years? And for me, I understand these are people that think they need to save up their entire life for this luxury vacation, or they have to spend their life savings on this one vacation. It has to be luxury, or they can't do it. How I did that, how I achieved my goals, is I just fucking did it. I bought the damn flight ticket.
Yep.
I started my own podcast. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I did it. My retreat, I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it. Yeah. Just fucking do it. And it doesn't, I know when we think of these big goals, I want to be, when we look at these goals, 10-year goals, it's going to feel overwhelming. But break that down. Do one little step and just fucking do it. Just like the 5-second rule by Mel. What's your last name?
Mel Robbins.
Yeah. But 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fucking do it. Book the goddamn ticket. Do whatever you need to do. If it's getting up, if it's taking cold showers, if it's standing up for what you believe in, if it's for speaking up in a meeting, do it. It just takes one time. If you are more powerful than you even fucking know.
That's right. I love it. Savannah. You are just a ball of light and great energy, upliftment. You're stretching your comfort zone all the time, and any woman who joins your group is going to have their life transformed. So let's share how they can do that. How can they join the group? How can they tune into the podcast? What do they do next? Remind us again.
Yes. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I think this is my intro video in the group.
Yes,
my white girl dance, the best I got. You can find me on Facebook, my group. Come join with 300 other beautiful women that are all looking to do the same thing, that are all getting out of their own fucking way, that are doing it.
That's right.
That can be found at just search on Facebook, Untamed and Unapologetic, Women Who Want More Out of Life. My website, where you can find more about my retreats, which I'll just give you a little insight. I'm about to release my next 3 retreats for the next year on Friday. So please go sign up on my mailing list. You can find on my website. It's www.wild-savannah.com. Sign up for my website. You'll be the first to know. If you sign up within the first 24 hours, you get 25% off your retreat.
Ooh.
And what else? My podcast is on iTunes. It's on all the iTunes or podcast platform, but it's Wild Within.
I love it. I love it, Savannah. You are amazing. Everyone who's listening or watching, definitely go check those out. Savannah, you are one to watch. You are. I see it. I see it. World changing, and I'm just really proud to be a part of your journey right here, right now. I know there's huge things coming from you in this moment and beyond. So keep up the great work, and thank you so much for blessing us with your story, your journey, inspiration, remembering who you really are, your true self, and helping us ignite that within us too. You rock. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Likewise.
You're
watching
welcome.
you from afar and finding inspiration every day.
We'll keep dancing. We'll keep dancing.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
This.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
Such
Savannah.
a pleasure.
We'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you. Bye, guys.